Haha, welcome back to Bassett for another fantastic Power Rangers review. If you saw today's episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers, you got that little reference, but originally I was going to pair my episode 7 review with this episode review because I didn't get around to episode 7. Took about a week break, but I'm not going to do that just because this was such a big episode and I want to give it its own video. Plus, most likely we're going on a break now for Power Rangers Beast Morphers. We won't return for a couple of months when it comes to the show, so that'll fill in some content between now and then. But today's episode was pretty big. We got the review of the Gold and Silver Ranger. We obviously already knew who it was going to be because they released a lot of preview images and clips for this episode. Unfortunately, just completely spoiled it, and I even made a video about that. Of course, it was Nate, and there was also a robot now named Steel in this episode who became the Gold and Silver Rangers. I already knew this from set photos, and like I said, they now announced it. They just released a ton of stuff about it, which was kind of unfortunate because it would have been a cool surprise to see how it was going to happen in the episode. But either way, it did happen, and it was nice. This episode was light years better than episode 7, which I've already said that I didn't really like episode 7 almost at all, and I'll get into that in my review when I eventually do that. But this episode, probably my second favorite. That premiere still got me though. That premiere episode was super good, but I really enjoyed this one. As per usual, I'm going to go ahead and go over a summary of the episode, then get into my thoughts. The episode starts out, Ben and Betty are testing their new trackers. That'll come into play later on, and Nate goes out with the Rangers because he needs an escort to go find DNA for a mantis, a praying mantis, and a scarab beetle. It is also revealed that in this episode, Scrozzle plans to bring Evox into the regular dimension, or the dimension that the Rangers are in, through a cyber gate, and they kidnap Nate to do so once the Rangers go out to fight a Robotron, leaving him by himself. Scrozzle, Blaze, and Roxy ended up kidnapping Nate because they needed Nate to build a robot that could sustain the Evox virus. So Evox could come into this dimension with an actual robot body, which is pretty cool. Sort of like how Vengex did in RPM. Meanwhile, Ben and Betty are trying to figure out which movie to watch. They didn't have a coin to flip, so they used the tracker that they had, and it just so happened to get on a truck that was going to the place with the Cybergate. The Rangers use this to locate Nate, and they're actually held up by a Robotron, but meanwhile, Evox is starting to get into the new robot body that Nate built for him. However, Nate foils the plan by using his teleporter to bring in a blaster, which is actually also a morpher for the Gold Ranger, blast all the Cybergate stuff that was going on, and he morphs into the Gold Ranger. I don't know if it was accidental. I don't know if he was making the Gold Morpher and for the intentions of him becoming the Gold Ranger. That wasn't really explained. However, at the same time, coincidentally, completely, the robot that was supposed to hold Evox's body is infused with the Scarab Beetle DNA, as well as Nate's DNA, so he's part human, half Scarab Beetle, and he morphs into the Silver Ranger, while Nate morphs into the Gold Ranger. A fight breaks out, and Nate and the Gold Ranger Steel ends up saving the day, and then, everything is good once they return to base, and Nate and Steel are now the Gold and Silver Rangers. This episode was really good, and I like how Nate is the Gold Ranger because he's been in the show since the very beginning. He had a lot of build-up, character development, all of that, so it's not like some random stranger coming into the show and becoming a Ranger, which we do get quite often. It's actually a character that we know, that we actually like. I know a lot of people like him, and so do I, so the fact that he's the Gold Ranger is a lot better than some random person coming in, although we still kind of have that with the Silver Ranger, although he's a robot, which I also like. I really like in-suit actors becoming Rangers, like Doggy Kruger, like Xena Wing, stuff like that, just because it adds a little bit more to their character, because, of course, in Power Rangers, we have a lot of human Power Rangers. That just makes sense. But whenever we have, an in-suit actor for, an animal or a robot or something like that, it adds just a tiny bit more. You can do a little bit more with their character, or something different with their character, with storylines along the lines of them being an alien, like Xena Wing and Doggy Kruger, and being a robot, like this one. Plus, I really like the character's personality. The voice is really funny, very heroic, very full of himself, similar to what I did at the beginning of this video with that sort of impression. That's exactly what I did. That was the character that I was impersonating there. If you haven't seen the episode, like I said, you wouldn't get it. The robot actually has an excuse to act like a human now because he's infused with human DNA as well as Scarab Beetle DNA, because he got infused with Nate's DNA at the same time. So that's cool. His name is Steel because he's a robot, I guess. Interesting name, but I still do like it. Just the Gold and Silver Rangers are pretty cool in general. I really like the suits, but of course that's more of a Super Sentai thing. But, they're still nice looking. And, like I said, I think Nate was the perfect choice for the Gold Ranger. Maybe the Silver Ranger's personality will get old after a while because it's very enthusiastic, but I don't know, I do really like it. However, we've seen stuff like this before where it's, kind of cool, kind of quirky at first, then soon gets annoying, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. This episode was weirdly paced out well, considering it was such a big episode and they condensed it into 22 minutes. I've heard some people say they wanted a two-parter, but I think they did a good job at pacing the episode, weirdly enough, because it was very short, but it still ended up okay. Definitely a good way to end the beginning part of the story, because most likely we are going on a break now, and then the second half of Beast Morphers will air, and then we'll move on to the super seasons and such. So this chapter of the story is pretty much over. Here soon, I'm going to release a video which is going to be my review of the first half of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. I don't know exactly when I'll have that out, but definitely stay tuned for that, because I'm really looking forward to that. But that's going to wrap it up for this review. Like I said, the first half is over, but it looks like we're going on a couple months of a break. However, I'm still going to have videos being released. I've held out on talking about certain things or theories, stuff like that, because I want content to be filled out during the break over the summer, which is going to be very exciting as well. Like I said, I have some reviews coming. I still have not unboxed a lot of the toys, which is unfortunate. I've only unboxed the 6-inch figures, which I'm going to get into that over the break, and very soon. But tell me in the comments below what you thought of today's episode, and I'll catch you all in next video. Peace.